Confession about someone I met years ago on Omegle, Rui. I'm posting this because I've been carrying it for a while, and I guess I just need to let it out. Back in 2021, I met a guy on Omegle. We ended up talking for a long time on and off until around 2023. I'm NBSB and had zero experience with anything naughties, but he was the first guy I ever sexted with. He's also the first and only person who saw my naked body. I know it was a stupid thing to do, and I regret it deeply. I don't even know his real full name, and he never showed his face. He only said his name was Andrew Rui, not even sure if that was real or just something he made up. But he introduced me to Reddit, especially to this subreddit. He said he's always reading confessions here, but not sure if this was the subreddit he was talking about. I've tried to forget, but because it was such a big and stupid thing for me, I can't erase it completely from my head. I don't know if this post will ever reach you, but if it does, then I guess this is me confessing what happened and admitting I've never forgotten what we did, especially you. If you're reading this, I'd love to hear again from you. Mother won't let me jump in the foam pit. So I was at an amusement park, and there was a trampoline area. I was with 5 friends. Me and one of them wanted to jump in the foam pit. We approached it, but there was a mother and a child in it. We couldn't jump otherwise we would hurt them. So the worker saw the situation and told the mother, "Please exit the pit so others can jump too." And she replied, "Oh, but my son doesn't want to." The child was about 3. The worker again said she needed to exit, and she did and stayed. It took about 5 minutes for her to exit the pit, with the child crying. Made her sweat in a foreign language. This happened today, but for a bit of context, a few years ago I lived in a small apartment complex in a town where everyone knows everyone. My next-door neighbor was all right, but his wife was just plain rude. She never said hello, and every morning at 6:30 a.m. she'd slam the entrance gate on her way out to work, so loudly and so often that the landlord eventually put up a sign asking, "Please don't slam the door." Naturally, she ignored it. No one missed her when they moved out. It's worth mentioning we don't live in the US, and while my native language is fairly common, foreigners can struggle with it. I, however, speak English fluently, her native language. That's important. So yesterday her husband reached out to me out of the blue. After some polite small talk, he told me they've been living in her country for the past 5 years. Then he asked if I'd be willing to participate in a study his wife is doing. Apparently she's working on her master's or PhD, something about women in conservation, and he figured I'd be a good fit. I said yes, we agreed on a time, and today they showed up, with their 5-year-old kid in tow. She greeted me like I was some long-lost best friend. He even reminded her that we used to be neighbors, but not once did she seem to remember being rude back then. The kid was constantly interrupting. The dad was trying to juggle feeding him and keeping him calm, but of course the kid only wanted mommy's attention. I was already annoyed. Then, in the middle of the chaos, he turned to me and asked, "How's your English?" I smiled and said, "Hopefully good enough." So she starts explaining the project to me, in my native language. But she's struggling. She's clearly not comfortable, stumbling over her words, getting things wrong. Honestly, I almost felt bad for her. Almost. But then I remembered all those early mornings, being jolted awake by the sound of that gate slamming. So I said nothing. I let her keep going, pretending I didn't understand English well enough to make things easier for her. And when it was my turn, I gave my full analysis, in my native language. I never let on that I could have saved her the effort of conducting, transcribing, and translating the whole thing. Not the pettiest revenge in the world, but wow, it was satisfying. It was... Use my email address in store. I'll spend your loyalty reward points on cat treats. Back in 2021, I started getting random emails from Tractor Supply asking me to rate my order. I'm in the UK, so I had no clue what Tractor Supply was. Turns out they're in the US and they don't even sell tractors. When the first email arrived, I thought it was probably a mistake. The customer making the purchase at Tractor Supply may have just given the wrong email address at the checkout. I got in very early with Gmail, so my email address is very simple. It's understandable someone might have just made a mistake once or twice, but the emails kept coming. The simple solution would have been to just block the Tractor Supply emails, but I was feeling something a bit more petty in exchange for using my email address to send spam to. Turns out I could create a Tractor Supply account on the website, even though I don't live in the USA, and when I created the account with my email address, it connected my new account with the in-store loyalty profile the perpetrator was using my email address for. I could see the full history of all of their in-store orders, dog collars, cement, etc. When you make a purchase at Tractor Supply, you get points back to your loyalty account that you can then use to activate a reward. The perpetrator was waiting until they reached enough points to get a $10 discount off their next purchase. One of the other rewards you can buy with loyalty points is a voucher for a bag of cat treats. So now every time I get an email from Tractor Supply about a new purchase, I log into my account and exchange my newly assigned loyalty points with a voucher for a bag of cat treats. The account currently has 8 accrued vouchers, and it's now turned into a game of how many cat treat vouchers I can get before they notice. I don't know how it works in store or if there's a limit on how many you can have, but I'm secretly hoping on a future purchase the perpetrator is asked if they want their 20 free bags of cat treats added to their order, and they finally realize they probably shouldn't use a random petty stranger's email address. Edit. I just realized Tractor Supply lets you register your pets on the account. My guy now owns Nigel, a 666 pounds pregnant gorilla who has a health concern of weirdly obsessed with cat treats. Workplace revenge. Just seen a post whereby someone was getting annoyed that a coworker kept leaving early, even though it didn't affect them. Made me think of what happened to me some time ago. Worked in a large office with multiple departments. Each department could choose whether they wanted to have flexi-time or not. Most chose to have this option. The core hours were 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., so everyone needed to be in the office during this time. The phone lines were open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., so long as there was phone cover the hour before and the hour after core time, no one minded how people managed their flexi. Living the furthest away, I chose, after making sure it was okay, to come in at 8 a.m. every day and leave at 4 p.m. so that I could avoid the worst of rush hour traffic. I had been working these hours for the better part of 4 years, and no one had a problem with it, until I changed departments. Despite there always being cover-up until 6 p.m. most days, office was open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. My co-workers had a problem with me being the only one leaving a 4. They complained constantly to the department manager. He gave them the option of leaving early if they wanted, setting up a rota of people leaving early, basically any workable solution that was feasibly possible. Nope, nothing was acceptable. None of my co-workers wanted to leave early, unless there was an emergency, DRS appointment, etc. So if they chose to stay until 5 p.m., then I should also fit in with the team and do the same. Exhausted, my manager spoke to me and said he'd tried everything but they just wouldn't back down. I asked if I could move to another department that didn't mind me leaving at 4, but he gave me a piece of information which made me smile, and I decided to stay. I asked if he wouldn't mind batting them off for the next couple of weeks because I had a plan. Team meeting was held after a couple of weeks to discuss working hours, and I sat back and allowed my co-workers to get themselves worked up. I decided to throw in a few comments here and there to rile them up some more, and when I thought it was the right moment, I held my hands up and conceded defeat. I asked the team if they prefer I work 9-5. They all agreed. Giving a quick look to my manager, I repeated that we should all work the same hours, considering their argument was that I was the only one leaving early. Unanimous agreement. So I suggested that we should all, as a team, work 9-5. Enthusiastic nodding, starting from tomorrow. Silence. My manager spoke up saying that was a wonderful idea and was a brilliant solution. He'd put it in place immediately so that we could all come off flexi time and as a department, all work the same hours, which is what the team wanted in the first place. Now is a good time to mention that there was a worldwide sporting event taking place at the time. Living in the UK but not being British, I didn't feel the need to follow the UK teams. The event was being held abroad, so due to time differences, some of the games were played in the morning, UK time, meaning that my co-workers could watch the games and still be in at work by 10 a.m. I piped up to remind my team that this meant I would no longer be the only one covering the phones from 9, 10, and phew. Yes, they conveniently forgot that they left me to answer the phones for that hour pretty much every day since me starting on the team. What a relief, because the phones did get busy first thing in the morning. One colleague tried to speak up, but my manager reminded them that this is what they've been asking for all along, that the whole team worked the same hours. Oh yes, this was also the time to mention that seeing as I couldn't leave early anymore, there was no need to work through my lunch break, something I offered to placate them, and I didn't used to have lunch that often back then. Flexi meant that people had the choice to take 2 hours for lunch, and I'd offered to cover the phones when the games were on. So I'd stop doing that. Otherwise, I'd be worn out working flat out until 5. That meant that the quarter and semi-finals they had planned to watch, which so happened to be played over UK lunchtime, and our office were showing on the large screen in the main conference room, would only have a restricted viewing time of 1 hour now. I announced that I could see I was being selfish for being the only one to leave early, and I was pleased to fit in with everyone else by working 9-5. That also meant that I wouldn't be signing off the payments from the previous day, something I would do between 8-9 when it was nice and quiet, albeit that I chose not to remind them of that, but I did like seeing the look on their faces when they realized they had extra work to do the following morning, work that they should have been doing in the first instance. Again, something I volunteered to do to try to placate them. Oh, and that information that my manger gave me in our meeting 2 weeks prior? In a cost-cutting exercise, my office was relocating to another one which happened to be a lot closer to where I lived, so ultimately the removal of flexi time worked in my favor, as it meant I could then walk to and from work. Oh, it was difficult not to pull a smug face when the relocation was announced. I think the British term "don't piss on your chips" definitely applied here. I have zero intention of paying this debt. Former roommate fell out with me after I required them to actually pay rent and take care of themselves, and apparently their grand revenge plan was to give my phone number to all the creditors they've defaulted to. This means I get calls nearly every day asking for former roommate from different banks and lenders. It's annoying as hell, and they don't seem to understand that I neither know nor could care less where the person they're looking for is, so I've started responding with the line in the title when they ask for the former roommate. I've checked and locked down my credit. The culprit here isn't bright enough for identity theft, and if they were, this'd be a legal case and not a Reddit post. I don't say anything except, I have zero intention of paying this debt, which is true because it is not my debt, and occasionally following up with, you may have to sue to get that money, which is also true as far as I am aware. And then I hang up. Sure showed me, bud. Showed me you've defaulted on multiple lines of credit and are now running like hell from them. Scammed a weird dude out of money. So, as the title says, I definitely scammed someone out of money, and I definitely feel grimy and no karma's coming for me one way or another. Backstory, this guy messages me on Facebook Marketplace asking to buy some lingerie-like pieces and some tops, dresses. I'm like, sure. He asked a bunch of questions about if it'll look good on a guy, sizes, how it looked on me. I replied the sizes are in the description and who knows. Whatever, so he asks me to drop them off to him. I'm like, man, if you're gonna pay for my gas, sure, he's like a good 15 minutes from me, but wants me to drop it off at the local park and then take the money he hid at the park. This was all super strange and just inconvenient that I had to go on a wild goose chase to sell some items. I gave him a super high price unless he was able to pick them up. Says he can't. $80 for a couple of clothes I would have donated otherwise. So I do it. He hid money in a table and I took it. Left the clothes. Next day he's asking me to buy some other pieces I have. He'll pay me more, and now he wants me to purchase a dildo for him. I was super hesitant and it was weird. I did it anyways and took the money he gave me, $125 for the dildo and the clothes. This comes to today. He asks me to buy a different dildo because the other one wasn't good enough. Now he's being pushy, rude, and condescending about it. Almost like I owed him for it. I'm like, dude, I don't have to do anything for you, man. He says he's sorry and I'm right and asks me to please do it. I tell him I have to pick up the money he's giving me because I had spent some money on formula for my baby and some groceries. Didn't have enough for the $100 dildo he wanted. He says I can have $225, so I'd make a $125 profit from this trip. I go to pick up the money, grab it, and realize this would be a good chunk of my bills if I just kept the money. And as weird as the situation was, what I did was still slimy. I grabbed the 225 and blocked him on Facebook. He's never seen me or my car, doesn't know my real name considering I use a different name on my Facebook. I feel dirty and guilty, but also relieved. I'm done dealing with that guy and made money. This was pretty evil of me. I've always been an honest person, never scammed or lied to someone ever like this. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. My stepmom expects me to congratulate my stepbrother on his new baby, even though he's been ignoring me for months. So today, out of the blue, my stepmom texts me saying, "Asterisk, your stepbrother had his first child yesterday. Here's his number so you can congratulate him." Here's the thing. I already have his number I texted him back in January and DM'd him on Instagram in April, and he never replied to either. Funny enough, when he needs help with real estate or YouTube business stuff, I've always responded and helped him out. He also never told me he and his GF were expecting. They even had a gender reveal I wasn't invited to. And now, I find out he had a baby yesterday through my stepmom. For context, I've never lived with my stepmom or step-siblings. My dad married her when I was 19, and I'm now 31. There's no real relationship between me and my stepbro there beyond occasional surface-level contact. I'm just sitting here like, why would I reach out to congratulate someone who clearly doesn't value keeping in touch with me? Yet somehow, I'm the one expected to play the good brother role here. Just needed to vent because this feels like one of those classic entitled parents moments where they expect you to uphold a relationship that the other person clearly doesn't care about. Oh, and on top of this, I already had a huge fallout with my dad and stepmom-ish for her, due to their behavior, especially my dad's, past criminal behavior to my mom, half-brother, and my first stepmom. So we haven't even talked in months. Edited to clarify relationship with stepbro asterisk. You're going to be a creep to me? I'd like to see you try. This happened a while ago, so this is an approximation of what happened. Back when I was in middle school, there was this boy, we'll call him Gabe, who bothered girl after girl. He would harass them and follow them around. He would only relent after he was reported, then on to the next victim. Then he moved on to me. He made me very uncomfortable. One day, however, I was talking to my friend who was on her period about cramps and stuff like that. He shouted from another table, "Ew, none of that girl shit, guys don't want to hear that stuff." At the time, we were just annoyed, but little did I know this would be the key to my freedom. He approached me during PE the next week and said something along the lines of, "Don't keep secrets from me. I want to hear all of your little sins." Ew. I was having my period that day, and the cramps were unalive me, so I was anything but patient. It hit me in a cramp-fueled stroke of genius. Great, I've been looking for someone to talk to. Blood has been leaking from my vagina, and God, is it terrible. They need to stock more pads here. There were only tampons, and I got blood on my hands. Want to smell? I don't think the soap has washed the smell off. He looked horrified. He mumbled something about it being a joke, and he stumbled off. As far as I know, he did not try to bother girls again. My GF's best friend's online stalker has our naughties tape. So I just learnt yesterday that my girlfriend's best friend has an online creep who can hack, has our naughties tape. Now, I don't know if he does or doesn't cause he hasn't sent any type of confirmation that he really does, because he hasn't sent anything that proves that he does. My girlfriend has been so worried and I don't know what I can do. He lives in another state, and he has told her best friend nothing about his personal identity. I'm really worried for my girlfriend and me because I don't know if I really can do anything to fix this. Now, this is terrible for me because I want Ed to become a teacher, but with this possibly out, the chances are becoming lower. I don't know what to do, and I'm just looking for some type of other opinions on it. I masturbate while listening to women pee in unisex toilets. I will preface this by saying that what I will discuss in this post is a result of a voyeurism kink. I also want to make it clear that I fully agree with the fact that secretly filming others during moments where privacy is expected is wrong. Now that is out of the way. What I want to discuss today is mostly specific to unisex toilets. There are some public unisex toilets where there are individual stalls but shared sink areas. The stalls are constructed and separated like typical cubicle stalls, so not brick walls from top to bottom. Because of this, you can easily hear everything that happens in the stall next to you, similar to gender-segregated toilets. I look forward to encountering and using unisex toilets like these wherever possible. It is a huge turn-on to me when I can tell that a woman has entered the stall next to me, which I can then hear them taking off their underwear and sitting down to pee. I get turned on by hearing them pee and then grabbing toilet paper to wipe. I try to imagine in my head what they look like while they're peeing, and what their vaginas look like while they're peeing. Most of the time, I end up masturbating to this, listening to woman after woman. Again, I realize that this stems from a voyeurism kink, and that one possible reason for being turned on by this is the fact that toilets are usually segregated by gender, so it's rare to hear the other gender using the toilet. I slept with a married man. To make this long story short, I slept with a married man. He told me him and his wife had an agreement on an open marriage, and that she didn't care what he did. I didn't think our friendship or us hooking up was overstepping their boundaries because he said she was okay with it. One night she was drunk and found text messages and pictures between us and flipped out to the point where she showed up to my work. She didn't approach me, but I knew she was there. No one knows that we ever did anything other than text and send pictures, and it unalived me because I think it's something I'll have to hide forever. I have blocked both of them and haven't spoken to him in weeks, but I just can't get over it. I think I just miss the attention he was giving me, but also I'm so mad at myself for putting myself between their marriage because I know how shitty it must feel. Also, I may have to see them in the near future, and I'm not sure if I should act like I don't know them or what. This whole situation is eating me alive. Look for other jobs and see how much they offer? Sure thing, boss. I spent a few years at this company. The pay there is not as competitive, and we all got measly 2-3% raises each year, nothing close to inflation levels. I had been in a starter position and still studying on the side, so I agreed with my boss already a couple years ago that I'd get a promotion once I graduated. Well, last September I graduated and asked for my promotion. I had looked over the worker union's salary statistics, and the median would be around a 18% bump for me. I didn't expect to get that much because besides them being a cheap AF, the economy was bad, and they had just downsized like 15% of the staff in July. Luckily, I had gotten myself into a strong position of being one of the only ones left with some unique skills, so I survived the downsizing. Anyhow, I show my boss a copy of the statistics and ask for the median. Boss scoffs and proceeds to fight as hard as he can to justify lowballing me. He says several things baffling to me, not limited to, asterisk. Damn, you're rich, bro. About my salary. No, dude, I'm really struggling in this economy. Asterisk. If I give you more, you'll just spend more. Not your concern what I do with my well-deserved money. Asterisk. No one at that level makes that much here, and that the statistics must be wrong. I later went around the office to find colleagues in that level. First coworker I ask, asterisk asterisk earns exactly what I asked for asterisk asterisk. Asterisk brought up some concerns about my communication, petty things like me not replying to a colleague's email for like 3 days during which I was off-site to give a course somewhere. But my favorite thing he said was, "You can go look for other jobs to see how much others are offering. You'll see it's not going to be any better." He lingered on my salary adjustment until December, negotiating with HR, and then finally offers me 11%, which is around what I actually expected. But there's a catch. Next year, I would not get the usual 2 to 3% salary adjustment like everybody else. WTF. I told him, deal. You see, I had taken his advice, or rather called his bluff, and was already getting quite far in interviews. Come January, I land an offer from the top company in our field, think Google, Apple, offering me what would have been a 35% bump. I hit my boss with the news. He promptly panics. Says they want me to stay, they need me, my performance and development have been great, etc. But they can't match that offer because not even top management makes that much. I obviously didn't believe him, but I said, I understand it's not fair that I earn more than everyone else, just do your best. He runs to the top boss's office and somehow, within 30 mins, they magically found budget for a 30% raise. Perfect. Now I had leverage to negotiate an even better offer from my future boss. After all, I had already made up my mind to leave long ago. Mole poblano. My yard and my next-door neighbor's yard had a problem with moles. I used poison worms the first year, and it did a great job, but the side of my yard that abutted the neighbor's had more moles the next year. I poisoned them again, and all was good, but the next spring they returned on my neighbor's side. I spoke to the neighbor a few times, but she said it wasn't really a problem. What's a few moles between friends, etc. I tried to explain that I was taking care of the problem on my lawn, but if we both didn't eliminate them, they'd keep coming back. She got nasty in the end. I went online, and a bunch of sites recommended using stakes in the ground that generated some sort of noise that moles could hear, but not humans, and it supposedly was unbearable and drove the moles away. Per the instructions, you started in the center of your yard, as the moles moved away from the middle, you added more stakes to the sides. Once that was clear, you moved stakes farther out, and then once that was clear, you moved them again, until the moles had left your yard. To me, this was the perfect revenge, to send my moles to her. I used them, and although it took a few months, it did the job, and the moles left. Obviously, they exited to the 2 lots adjacent to mine. On one side was a vacant lot, and on the other side was the neighbor's yard. When I poisoned the moles, the population went down. By buzzing them away, the mole from my yard were now in hers, and you could see the fair amount of damage they were doing. Soft spots, holes, and unalived grass. The neighbor asked me why my yard wasn't being ravaged like hers. I told her what I had done, and she went ballistic. "Where do you think those moles went?" I shrugged and told her I wasn't up on the migratory habits of moles. If I don't like it, tell it to the news? I guess we're going to the news then. Video evidence. My mother was a truly inspiring woman. Her favorite phrase was, "Why say bleed when you can say hemorrhage?" because she never did anything halfway when she knew she could go all the way. We couldn't even ask for help with homework because you'd be up till 3 a.m. on a school night adding one more thing. Then you'd go to school with this magnum opus while everyone around you phoned it in and still got an A. She would rarely get angry, but if you activated her righteous indignation, the repercussions would be legendary. There was one such story of malicious compliance that she always loved to tell, and I just found the receipts, so I wanted to share it with everyone. It all started one day when I found a dagger in my brother's room. It was an ornate sort of fantasy-style dagger, not something you would find just anywhere, and it was very sharp. We were not old enough to have something like that at the time. He was only 11. Immediately, my mother walked up behind me and caught me red-handed, so I did what any self-respecting little brother would do and threw him under the bus. My brother wasn't at home at the time, so she went through everything and found more of these knives. She laid them out on the table, and she was psyching herself up for the hell she was going to bring down upon him. By the time my brother gets home, he walks in and sees her sitting there with the knives out. He goes white as a sheet. She immediately asks where he got them. This was the late 90s, and my brother was pretty into Magic, The Gathering. The card shop he went to for his fix was just down the street. He spent a great deal of time there and bought boxes and boxes of these cards from them, so they knew him and knew he was too young. They had sold it to him, knowing full well that he was underage, no questions asked. My mother's jaw dropped, and moments later, we were pulling up to the place. She drags my brother into the store and puts the knives down in front of the woman who owns the place. She tells her that they had sold it to him. Yeah, so what? He is not 18, and he shouldn't have access to these. You need to tell your employees to check IDs before they sell weapons to minors. She was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt before she snapped back with, "It's a joke, it's humor, don't you get it?" Ah, so the problem is you. I am his mother, and I don't think it is funny. If you won't follow the law at the very least, I need you to stop selling weapons to my son. I'll do whatever I want. If you don't like it, tell the news. Surely this woman doesn't know who she is talking to, or the lengths that my mom was willing to go for her kids. I don't know why on earth that would be the phrase you'd use. Now you are just asking for it. Mom gives her one last chance before the hammer drops. So you are saying that even without my permission, Having asked you not to personally and knowing it is illegal, you would still sell a knife to him? Of course, this is a business. Maybe raise him better if you don't like what he is doing. It was like the air left the room. There were 3 of us boys in elementary, middle school, and high school around the time. She was president of all 3 PTAs for 3 different schools miles apart from each other. She was practically moaming as a sport and crushing it by every conceivable standard. This woman had just slighted her to her core, and now had to deal with the consequences of her ignorance. My mom didn't say another word. She gathered the knives, and we walked out. Even the woman behind the desk looked a little shocked that she was just walking out. So was I. We all went back to the car, and no one said a word. Then you could almost visibly see the resolve set in, and she says, "I guess we are going to the news then." I don't remember her saying another word the rest of the night. The next day, I woke up, and she had papers all around her that she had downloaded and printed off and highlighted. She was on the phone explaining the story to a news station who'd just opened and responding to emails she'd sent overnight. I don't think she slept. She had been up researching the laws and building her case. The first reporters she talked to didn't seem to see what she saw in the story and told her they wouldn't pick it up. Every time she was told no, she would ask for references to someone who would do something like this. It took weeks of phone tag. She called the next reporter, then another, leaving messages and following up. Finally, she found an investigative reporter who would work with her. They decided that the best course of action was to put a hidden camera on my brother to send him undercover to buy something larger. Believe me, I am well aware of how outlandish that sounds. They met up down the street and gave my brother some money to buy the biggest weapon he could get. I seem to remember it being $120. Wired him up with a microphone and a spy camera they'd bought at a Radio Shack, and he went in, and he bought a legit full sword from the place. They jokingly told him not to unalive anyone with it as he was walking out, and never asked to see an ID. Afterwards, the reporter interviewed the store owner, who stuck with her old fallback of it being funny to sell deadly weapons to kids. Then they interviewed my mom outside the shop, and the 2 of them argued on camera. Maybe because they had already caught her on a hidden camera, she felt the need to double down. She had to think people would side with her for some reason. She was irate. My mom just kept feeding her the rope to hang herself with, and the shop owner tied the whole thing into a neatly wrapped bow for the reporter. Just a spectacular failure on her part. It's hard to imagine how it could have gone worse. Sure, it is just a local news report from the 90s. For my mom, it was her hero moment. She knew she was right, and she knew this person had to be stopped, and she did it all the way, just like everything she ever did. In the report, they say that they went back, and the place was already closed. Within a month, it was completely out of business. The reporter won an award for the piece, and the righteous indignation was satiated for the time being. My mom recorded the airing of the report on a VHS tape, and every chance she got, she would parade it around to show people her crowning achievement. She would tell the whole story, and we'd all watch the tape until it was lost to time and became legend. Through some effort, I have found the video, and I know that she would want everyone to see it. So here it is, https://u2.b/ozxgoff_zgq0 psi =I6 voa9u5 fsfy5ya https://u2.b/ozxgo_zgq0 $si=I6 voa9u5 fsfy5ya. Edit. I never expected this to blow up like this. My mother would be absolutely beside herself if she could see how far this has gone. She never told this story or showed this video without immediately following it with another far more salacious story of an incident in the PTA where she got a woman thrown in jail. It is one of my absolute favorite stories of hers. I felt like I would be remiss in not telling it in her place. https://www.reddit.com/r/malicious-compliance/comment/1 mwcnwq/thef PTA incident UTM source share UTMB_medium =web3x and UTMB_name =web3xess and UTMI_term =1 and UTMI_content =share_button /www.reddit.com/r/malicious compliance/comment/1MWCNWQ/the_PTA_medium=sign web3x&UTM_name web3x CSS&UTM_term =1 %UTM_content =share_button. Not a word from you about your resignation until I approve it. Not in the US BTW. I used to be an operations engineer on a 1-year contract in a small department. There were only 4 of us, and the seniors absolutely hated doing additional work. So when there was additional networking stuff required as part of a new project, it was dumped onto me. I didn't mind doing it as I was learning new stuff, but the lack of appreciation from the rest of the team and being underpaid made me look for other jobs when my 1-year contract was almost up. Fortunately, I was able to get a much better offer from one of my ex-employers with about a month to go for my current contract. My current company never reached out to me to talk about renewing my contract, so I thought I'd just give them a heads up that I'm resigning and not renewing my contract. My manager at the time used to be an engineer like us, but was promoted 6 months prior and was incredibly cocky because of that. I went into his room and handed him my resignation letter, told him I was resigning and would be happy to hand over my stuff and train the others before leaving. He takes a look at the letter, gets really pissed, and tells me he isn't going to sign and acknowledge the letter until he decides what date I'm allowed to leave. He said this will happen after he's found someone to replace me and when he's in a better mood, essentially trying to hold me hostage. But my contract only has 1 month. Before I could say 2 words, he says, "No more talking. Did I not hear me say I won't approve it until I'm happy? I don't want to hear a word about this from you until I'm ready." Note this was very long ago where resignations via email weren't as common. I thought about explaining to him when he had calmed down, but decided fuck it. If that's what he wants, then I'll comply. So I continued working for the rest of the month, with absolutely no handover done until the last day. On the last day of my contract, I head into his room and hand him my laptop, badge, etc. "What's this? My stuff? Today's my last day." "Stop fucking joking around. I told you that I haven't acknowledged your resignation letter yet. Which, by the way, I've just decided your last day will be 2 months from now because we need to look for a replacement. Train him up and get a proper handover before you can leave. So keep your stuff and get back to work." He gives me this incredibly cocky look like he got me. "Nope. My contract runs out after today. I'm not paid to work beyond that." "You... what?" "Yep. I've been trying to tell you from the start. My resignation letter was a courtesy since my contract runs out anyway, but you didn't allow me to talk." "You're fucking bullshitting me." "Nah, go call HR and check, see ya." I watch his face turn from anger and cockiness to shock as I walk away from his room. A few months later, I find out that he got a stern lecture by the director even though he tried to put the blame on me, ended up hiring a network engineer that cost triple what they paid me, and breached multiple SLAs for the period before the new hire joined. Parents expect me to pay for my own wall. Apologies for formatting or other issues. I hardly use Reddit and I'm posting from the website on mobile. My parents go through my phone and it's easier to clear a tab than delete an app. My 17 parents are building a new house. This is the 2nd or 3rd one. My stepdad continuously decides he's not satisfied with one and builds another. I'm sick of it personally, but it's his life and his money, so whatever. This time, my stepdad has decided to build a home with rooms for all his kids, 5, 6 total. He asked me and my 2 sisters if we would rather have 1 big bedroom or 3 separate bedrooms. Of course, all of us are teens, and we all say we want our own room. He pushes and talks about the price and how it'll cost a few hundred more and how he's already sunk so much into the house. My siblings talk and we agree we can do 1 big room, since 2 of us will be heading out for college in a few years anyways. My stepdad decides to build the separate rooms anyways. Cool. Awesome. I was pretty happy and thanked him. Later, though, in a talk where he was telling us we needed to help out more in the building process, he mentioned how we never offered to pay for our walls. He brought it up again another time, saying we were going to pay for the flooring and paint in our own room, offering it as a Christmas gift we will get for him. I wouldn't be as upset about this if it wasn't for the fact that he is planning to sell this house soon after I and a few other siblings move out for college within the next few years. I will literally not be in it for even a year, but I'm supposed to shell out hundreds on a wall? I don't mind paying for the paint, but the wall? Even in the last house he built, I never got a doorknob, because I was supposed to pay for it myself, which I did not, because I could live without one and I'm trying to save best I can. He does a lot of other entitled stuff. This is just the biggest one as of late. I feel like I should be more grateful, but that just seems over the top. I'm just kinda tired of living with him, to be honest. Once again, sorry for formatting errors. TLDR, stepdad asks me to pay for my own walls in a house I will live in less than a year, for a room I didn't ask him to make. I messed up so bad that I lost a friend. Me and my friends are both girls and both 17, just to clarify. I don't want comfort or anything. I know I'm the one wrong in the story. Just need to get this out of my chest. I made my friend uncomfortable a lot and didn't realize, and then when she told me I didn't fully register it and did it again. It was never on purpose. I very honestly just didn't realize, but I did it so many times that she's sick of me. She told me multiple times about how she didn't like what I was doing, but I didn't fucking register it and did it again. I'm just that stupid. I also make everything about myself. I always tell her about my problems and she never gets to tell me about hers because I never ask. I didn't ask because every time I did, she didn't want to tell me, and I didn't want to seem pushy or invasive, so I stopped asking. So I made her feel like she was the only one being supportive. She let me into her house. She let me meet her pets, her dad, the bar she likes. She let me into her life and I ruined everything for her. I hate myself and I've told her about it, but I was making our relationship miserable because of that. She asked me, if not even you like yourself, why should I? And she's right. She shouldn't like me. She said I've been suffocating her through our whole friendship and she's just been so patient with me. She's an angel. That's also something she complained about. I assume a lot of things about her. Apparently I've been dehumanizing her because I've turned her into my muse. It's probably true. I admire more than anyone. I think about her way more than I should. She also told me to grow up and develop some self-respect. Well, I'm on my way to buying a pocket knife so I can cut myself with it right now, so can't put that last part into practice just yet. The guilt is unbearable. I love her so fucking much. She's been nothing but helpful to me and I wish her the best in life. It pains me more than anything to realize I've become just one more thing in her life that went wrong. Another failed friendship of hers, another person that failed her. She tried so hard to like me, I can tell. She was so patient, but in my current state of mind, I couldn't correspond. I'm gonna try to better myself after this. I love you so fucking much, Sam. I hope the next person I allow myself to love doesn't have to go through what you went through. I love you. AI breakup message gone wrong. Back in 10th grade, I was dating this girl. One day we were at the park with her little brother, while she was playing with her brother. I looked through her phone and saw her messaging another dude, flirting and talking about our relationship like it meant nothing. When it came time to break up, I didn't know how to say everything I wanted, so I asked ChatGPT to make me one. I sent, but she left me on scene. The next morning at school, my friend told me she showed all her friends the messages at the lunch table thinking she had the last laugh and no one knew. So moral of the story is real feelings deserve real respect, fuck that hoe. IF31 finally had naughties again after over a year and with a man 23 years older than me. I'm 31, and today I slept with a man 23 years older than me. He's not conventionally attractive, but he's so much more than that. He's kind, intelligent, funny, soft-spoken, and made me feel like the only woman in the world. It wasn't just the naughties, though that was incredible. It was everything leading up to it. The way he looked at me, kissed me, filthy, desperate kisses. A mixture of slow and deep, teasing and like he wanted to taste every part of me. His hands didn't grope me, they explored me. I had goosebumps the way he was touching my body. He massaged my scalp with one hand while the other traced my thighs, my stomach, my breasts, like he was studying me, like I was sacred. I didn't feel self-conscious once. I felt powerful, worshipped. It wasn't performative. He wasn't trying to impress. He just wanted me, and he definitely made sure I knew it. It was the first time in so long that I felt like a woman again, not just a mum and just someone surviving the day. He lives in a beautiful, remote area. Afterwards, we went for a stroll, got some dinner, laughed, put the world to rights. Then we went back to his again and carried on where we left off. We both came so many times. Thinking about it all now gives me butterflies. I forgot how good it feels to just surrender and be devoured. I can't wait to see him again. Entitled parents try to steal from the supermarket. For reference, ED. Entitled dad. EM. Entitled mum. S. Their horrible son. Boss. My fantastic boss Nigel. Again. Me. So, a bit of context. This happened in December 2024 and happened at night a couple of hours before closing, so about 8:30-9 p.m.-ish. I was doing the rounds and cleaning up under the supervision of the boss. Me. Asterisk cleaning noises asterisk boss. You're doing great. My name. Now those shelves won't stack themselves. Me. Yes, Nigel. I'll be right on it. As I'm stacking the shelves, out of the corner of my eye, I see a middle-aged man stuffing beer and other alcoholic drinks into his oversized coat. Me. Excuse me, are you going to pay for that? ED. Look, mate, in this economy, can anyone pay for this asterisk tea? I just want a few beers, lay off. Before I can respond, what I assume is his wife joins him. Her backpack is bulging with presumably stolen goods. EM. Back off, you can't prove anything. Then her son enters, pockets filled to the brim with expensive perfume and really pricey spirits. Me. Put them back or I'll have to report you, ED. Asterisk snorts. Asterisk. It's 3 against 1, kid. Meet us outside in 10, you can pocket a bit, but report us and you'll regret it. S. You can't prove anything. We've done this at every supermarket in this city and nobody can stop us. Suddenly, a dark shadow falls over the entitled family. It's Nigel. Boss. I am Nigel. And in my supermarket I don't need evidence to prosecute. Nor is my supermarket like every supermarket in this city. ED. Asterisk aggressive asterisk. Back the F asterisk, CKEK off. Nigel hates swearing. Boss. Asterisk. With the speed of a tornado, he snatches the bag off EM asterisk. I can understand taking bread if you're hungry. I've even turned a blind eye when a thief took bread and Marmite. But this is unforgivable. Asterisk. He pours out the expensive spirits and medicine EM had been taking asterisk. EM. Asterisk splutters asterisk. You assaulted me. I will call the police. Boss. If the police are called, you can bet your life it will be from my phone. Before I could react, ED took a punch at Nigel. Fortunately, Nigel wasn't made the boss of the supermarket for nothing. At the last second, Nigel dodged and ED took a tumble into the beers. Boss. 9, 10, 11. 11 bottles of various drinks you smashed. That will be £38.48. Pay. Leave the goods you stole and get out. Or the police will be notified. The family were terrified. EM. We'll pay. S. Please, stop this now. EM. You've dominated us enough. Let us leave in peace. They paid and left, tail between their legs. Boss. I'll notify the other supermarkets to look out for these villains. In the meantime, my name, put up these wanted posters of them. And I did. Then me and Nigel went to the pub. But there's no bleach. Background: several years ago I worked night shift for Big Pharma producing injectables. There's very limited people running the place at that hour. I was relatively new there and only had limited training on things I was allowed to do and things I wasn't. The buildings were designed with airflow direction and flow patterns to prevent biological contamination. Can't go the other way or it's a shutdown and a cleaning for about 3-4 hours. Nobody wants that. My compliance was being instructed to go get raw material X from an earlier room. So for me that meant doing practically a full loop of the building, exiting completely and starting over. Fine, only takes about 15 minutes. But the catch here is everything is more clean as you progress through the stages of the building going through airlocks. Going through the airlocks means spraying objects what you're bringing in with bleach, giving it 10 minutes of contact time, wiping it down, then proceeding. My malicious compliance here is when I informed manager on duty the prior airlock had no bleach. He just interrupted me and said, now. So I do as I'm told and hurry up, exit. Go around, wash up, change my scrubs. The works. I get the material and just as expected. I get stuck in the airlock with no bleach to wipe down a cart of raw material. What manager wasn't aware of was I wasn't trained on mixing and making bleach. Yeah, easy enough in practice. But it's still a sign-off I wasn't trained on, so I simply couldn't. I was in there a good 2 hours until the manager found me. All I could do was point at the empty bleach container on the wall as he stared through the glass. He had to leave, do a lap, make bleach himself, wait another 30 minutes or so for bleach to settle, then join me in the airlock for another 10 minutes of contact time together. In silence. TLDR stuck in airlock for nearly 3 hours, can't leave the totes unattended, and I wasn't trained yet on how to make bleach to actually do what the manager wanted me to. Won't let me work from home while I'm contagious? Bet. I am the type of person who doesn't get a lot of symptoms when sick. A scratchy throat, a runny nose, but nothing that really knocks me out of commission. However, I try to remain aware that anyone else my contagious self infects might not be so fortunate. So one morning I wake up feeling off and text my boss that I'm going to urgent care and will let him know what they say. I get strep throat a lot and had it again, so they give me antibiotics and send me on my way. Call my boss and ask him if I can work from home. 100% of my job can be done from home. No, he says, you either need to take a sick day or come in. So I tell him, okay, see you shortly. Now, my boss is the type of person who doesn't really listen. He hears what he wants to hear and most everything else goes in one ear and out the other. I pull into the parking lot, put a mask on, and head straight to his office. When I barge in, he's in the middle of a video call, so my one colleague overhears all this and has to keep from laughing. Boss says, "Oh, they gave you a clean bill of health?" I say, "Nope. Like I told you on the phone, I feel decent enough, but I'm sick and contagious." I reached into my pocket to pull out a pill bottle. Gotta be on these antibiotics for at least a day before I'm not. I even coughed a bit for dramatic effect as I stood there, breathing his air. "Oh," he says, the color beginning to drain from his face. "Well, why don't go you ahead and work from home today?" "I'll do that, boss." Funny how that's fine now that he's at risk. I'm addicted to Roblox. It's beginning to impact my daily lifestyle and I don't know what to do. I'm 20F in uni and just got a job. Should be thriving, right? Nope. I downloaded Roblox as a joke to play with my young cousin, and now I'm skipping work to be an officer in a game titled Sandhurst Military Academy. I've spent real money, like overdraft money, on sparkly fedoras and virtual outfits. My sleep schedule is wrecked. I told my uni professor I didn't answer a question because of lag. Worst part? I actually feel competitive arguing with 12-year-olds over who possesses the higher rank. I might be losing it. Send help, or Robux. Preferably both. I'm attracted to black girls in a crazy way. Hey, so I know this is a bit weird, so I am sexually attractive to black females. Whenever I see a black female, I just admire her how beautiful her hair is, her skin, the way she talks, her personality, her tooth, the way she walks. I even get zoned out staring at their feet or thighs. It's just that everything in her is just perfect to the point that I get hypnotized and forget what I'm doing. My friends told me I'm weird because I'm white and should be loving white girls, but I just want to say that black girls are the perfect creatures I've ever seen. They're so funny, so beautiful, they're just perfect. Thank you for reading. Finally, a real MC story. I'll have to keep some details a bit vague. I work for a just-in-time company and was on work assignment in Japan. They had some strange approaches to prioritizing which safety items needed focus. They also have a very specific method and format for problem solving. This is important later. If you've ever driven in Japan, you know that some roads wouldn't pass as a cart path most anywhere else, and most have very deep gutters that will shit mix your car right quick. My company car was a gorgeous 87 GP Vitz. I still miss it sometimes. When idling in drive, it hovered around 22-25 kph. Sorry, Americans, I don't know how many hog cocks to the melted Velveeta it is in freedom units. The speed limit on the site was 20. The speedo for the Vitz was in the center console and the driveway through the site is quite long and narrow. I couldn't watch both easily. One day they had safety team members out in a literal speed trap. I got pulled over. Driving infractions are pretty serious, and I am gaijin, so they lost it on me. They flagged down lots of people, but only I got yelled at. I had to write a shame letter and do a problem-solving report for root cause and countermeasure. Sure. My reasoning was I couldn't watch the speedo and the narrow lanes at the same time. The idle speed is too high to maintain safe driving. Countermeasure. My beloved Vitz had a B gear, Jake brake for brake fade on mountain roads. In B, it idled at exactly 10. They loved the report. It was shared with my working group. The next time I was on site, I went directly to my car, got on the lot exit to the winding, narrow, single-lane driveway and put it in B. There was a huge line of cars behind my idling 10 kph Vitz, with the guy directly behind me losing his damned mind. It took forever to get to the gate, although no one was speeding. The next morning, my boss said there were many complaints about the white Vitz driving too slow. I said safety first, and I don't want to risk another speeding ticket at work. He said I didn't have to drive 10 kph anymore. Fucking. Nope. Every day I worked on that site, I drove exactly 10 in and exactly 10 out. I feel bad for screwing everyone else over, but if it's serious enough to give me a speeding ticket and a shame letter, then it's serious enough to be diligent about. They made an announcement that the safety Gestapo would limit safety audits to activity on site, and that the activity was a great success in slowing down unsafe drivers. I think that was a tacit approval to go back to the old way. Even then, 10 kph in, 10 kph out. It became a running joke in my group, though. I think they envied the malicious part of the compliance. They wouldn't be so strident against authority as it looks bad. I'm a petty gaijin. I don't give a shit. They would ask when I was arriving on site. I'd say I'm just pulling in. They would say, I see. We'll see you in 25 minutes. If I ever have to go back there, I will do it again. Safety first. Edit. It has been pointed out that the British and some other places apparently don't use logical or easy units of measure. That being said, in the name of inclusion, I don't know what 25 kph is in centuries of colonial theft and brutal subjugation of cultures by a severely inbred family of mega-racists per terrible meal is the Margarita song. My upstairs neighbors do all the bad things, hold parties with people screaming, why, until 3 a.m., dropping things, lit matches, onto my balcony, smoking disgusting cheap weed outside so I have to close my only window in the summer, blaring stupid music. After I complained for like the 11th time, they started pouring water on me from above when I went onto my balcony. So, one night when they were having their sad, bi-weekly, squeaky mattress grown-up time, instead of burying my head under the pillow, I decided to get creative. I queued up Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On my phone and held it to the ceiling. All activity stopped abruptly. A few minutes later, they started up again, in a tentative, herky-jerky manner. I have now become integrated, however infrequently, into their private time. I've created a playlist titled Neighbors, which includes So Much Barry White, Roberta Flack, more Marvin Gaye, a little Springsteen, and more. Have you heard the Margarita song? It's in there. I like to think I'm adding something nice to their mean, sterile little lives. Unalive 'em with kindness, maybe? OMG, unalive me softly. Gotta add that one to the playlist. Oh man. I blocked that guy I still have strong feelings for. We had an argument a few months back, and I told him when he came back that this was the last chance I would give him. Now we argued again, going in circles. Told him that I don't want this and that I end it if he keeps going. He told me to have a nice life and then blocked me everywhere. He later unblocked me. I tried calling earlier. I wish we could have solved it, but with all the disrespect and triggering behavior, if it's not coming from him, what's the use? I decided to block him after that. I'm on the fence what to do. On one hand, he is still my sweet angel that I would have loved and cherished for the rest of my life. On the other hand, he doesn't seem to care about my feelings. I don't want to go back and forth. I don't know if it was the right decision. He still has my number, so if he wanted to, he could. I signed someone up for Scientology and I don't care. Okay, so there's this guy in my theater group, let's call him Dr. Frank N. Furter. He is a real asshole. He has made fun of how much someone I know eats. They used to struggle with food, and they were talking about a scar on their hand after their surgery. We were with a group of people, he proceeds to say, were They don't have scars. They are on and off with self-harming. He has told a teen in our theater group that he wants to punch him. Dr. Frank N. Furter is in his late 20s. He has sexually assaulted someone that I know. He called his cousin Tattoo sexy, and if she weren't his cousin, he would want to fuck her. So what I did was I signed him up for Scientology. Do I care? No. Is it basic? Yes. He is an asshole. His ego is so high up his ass. Lift your bum. I've trained my toddler to do exactly that for diaper change. He lifts his bum, I take care of business, he puts his bum down, and I close up shop. He's not exactly a fan of diaper changes, especially when he was in the middle of playtime, so today he decided that he just wouldn't put his bum down. I would press him down, but once I took my hands off his hips to do the flaps, his bum would go right back up again. To be fair, it wasn't exactly malicious, but it was definitely a pain in the bum.